Do any of you honestly believe that Ankalaev is going to get knocked out? Because I don't. I don't see it. I don't see it for this fight. And I just recently watched the Lucas Tracy video talking about how Pereira wasn't prepared, that he was partying. We're going to get into that later. But I mean, look at Ankalaev's nose. He has a big, unfortunate nose that in combat sports would prove problematic. That is a nose that could easily break. That is a nose that belongs to somebody of the Semitic variety. Now, maybe Ankalaev is a descendant of the Khazars, because they did rule that part of the world, the Caucasus. So I do think that he is some Khazarian descendant. If you know your history. But how has nobody been able to shatter that fucking nose? To shatter that giant beak that looks like it belongs in the Witcher universe? Pereira couldn't do it. Thiago Santos couldn't do it. Lionheart Smith couldn't do it. Walker couldn't do it. Nobody could. And that is a testament. That just goes to show how good Ankalaev is as a fighter, how crisp his boxing is. Because you would think, like, okay, even if he doesn't lose a fight, he hasn't had his nose broken. And you see these other guys that their nose is broken all the time. JDM, Bilal, especially in this division, with bigger men that punch and hit harder. And not once has his nose been shattered. Hopefully I don't jinx shit. Let me knock on wood. Why am I knocking on wood? It's not like I'm a big Magomed Ankalaev fan. I don't care if his nose is shattered. I don't care if Pereira goes out there and just brutally knocks him out. I don't think Ankalaev is an entertaining fighter in terms of his personality. Language barrier. Boring. So, like, what am I doing? I want Pereira to knock out Ankalaev. I don't see it happening. I think Ankalaev is going to come out with a more wrestle-heavy approach. Pereira is obviously going to have to be more aggressive if he wants to win this fight, or else it's going to go just like the first one. And because of that aggression, he's going to be more open to double leg takedowns. He's going to be more open to get countered, because Ankalaev also is a good counter puncher. And I can see Ankalaev knocking out Pereira. If Adesanya could do that to you, Ankalaev could. Let's talk about this whole notion that Lucas Tracy brought up, talking about how his Instagram, he hasn't posted a lot of partying and a lot of goofy stuff that he did in the first fight. He's taking this fight more seriously. Here's the thing. Even if that's true, and I think there is some kernel of truth to that, I don't think it's going to matter. I don't think it's going to matter at all. Ankalaev is just as stoic and driven as he was in the first fight. Ankalaev comes from a culture that doesn't really have fun. And I know that can be controversial to some people that watch this channel, but it's true. Muslim background, no tattoos, no drinking, no partying, no Western degeneracy. That is a strength. I don't consider that a detriment. I consider that a positive. I know Brazil isn't technically considered part of the West, but Brazil definitely has a lot of Western-inspired elements in their culture. Pereira is a former alcoholic. A lot of tattoos, a lot of partying. Pereira likes to have fun in his life. There's nothing wrong with that, but when in the fight game, you're going to pick the guy that doesn't like to have fun in his life, that likes to suffer, that likes to train hard, that looks like they could be part of the Witcher universe. And that is what Ankalaev is. He looks like he could be part of the Witcher universe. That giant goblin nose of his, easily he could be in those dead woods, fighting and slaughtering Witchers left and right. That is Ankalaev. Pereira, he's already made it. He's already been to the top. He's tasted the fame. This fight, like, what does this do for him? You know? He was probably aiming for some big super fights at heavyweight. Like, I could see, like, he probably was going to fight Aspinall eventually. And Ankalaev, as out of all of his opponents, has been more on the less entertaining aspect in terms of his personality and aura. Like, let's be honest, Ankalaev doesn't have a vivid personality compared to guys like Yuri Prohaska or even Khalil Roundtree. Like, Yuri Prohaska is the most entertaining personality at light heavyweight, without a doubt. One of the most entertaining personalities in the whole sport. The giant antenna that he has, the samurai, his look, his appeal, his fighting style. He is the most entertaining light heavyweight right now. And if Pereira loses this one, he's going to get the next title shot. Assuming he beats Khalil, which I do think he's going to beat Khalil Roundtree. And it'll be Ankalaev versus Prohaska. That is an easy title defense for Ankalaev. Easy title defense for Ankalaev. I can see Prohaska getting brutally knocked out. Oh, but Prohaska, he's beat all of the guys except for Pereira. Yeah, but I trust the guy with the crisper technique, footwork, boxing, head movement. Prohaska did show some head movement in the Hill fight, but one fight versus a dozen fights that I've seen of Ankalaev, I'm not buying it just yet. Who else can pose a threat to Ankalaev? Can Khalil Roundtree pose a threat? No. Khalil, he's got the same step-in 1-2, and he's knocked out and done a lot of damage to a lot of guys. He knocked out Chris Daukaus with the same 1-2. He did damage to Pereira with that same 1-2, and he's fast. He's knocked down Jamal Hill multiple times. I don't think it's going to work against Yuri all that much, because Yuri is an autist. Azamat Murzakanov. Don't ignore Azamat Murzakanov. He has to get through Alexander Rakic, and that's going to be a tough fight. Because Murzakanov, he's small. He's like 5'10", 5'11", fighting against Rakic, who's 6'5". I don't think he's ever fought a guy like Rakic, a big guy like him. And Rakic, he's not the most deadliest guy, but he's got good fundamentals. So, I will be watching for Murzakanov. I don't really think there's much. Not Olberg. Olberg will get pieced up bad. And Reyes, as much as I would love to see Reyes be the champion, Reyes would get hurt bad. Reyes would get brutally knocked out. As for Pereira, if Pereira loses this fight, what's next for him? Does he retire? You lose to a guy like Ankalaev 2 times in a row. You're not going to go to heavyweight. Are you really going to stay at light heavy? Like, how are you not going to be demotivated at that point? How do you continue to wake up early in the morning and train just to fight contenders in hopes that you get another title shot sometime soon? Because at that point, when you do get another title shot, Pereira, he's going to be like 38, 39. It'll be done for Pereira. If he loses this fight, it's done for him. It's completely over for him. But yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. I can't pick. I can't really see myself picking against Ankalaev. I just don't. If nobody was able to break that big fucking nose of him, I don't see him getting knocked out. Ankalaev doesn't have the look. He doesn't have the phenotype of him being flat out on his back, out cold on the canvas. He doesn't have that look. Anybody can get knocked out, though, Forge. Anybody. These guys, they don't get knocked out, okay? Some guys, they just don't get knocked out. And that's the only way Pereira's going to win this fight, is by knockout. That's the only way. He's not going to win decision against Ankalaev. He's not. There is no situation in which that's going to happen. Pereira has to go out there and knock him out. And he is going to try. He's going to be aggressive. But Ankalaev has good counter punches. And he's crisp and fast and younger and in his prime. I don't think I'm picking Pereira. I'm going with Ankalaev. I don't see Ankalaev getting knocked out. That's all I've got for you. I got to go to sleep early tonight. Peace out. Subscribe to my channel, motherfuckers. Subscribe to my channel if you know about the history of the Khazarian Empire. Peace out.